Right, so some more good news for the LGBT plus community. This one is a bit more international, well, very international. Japan's same-sex marriage ban is unconstitutional, says their high court. So let's get to the article. A high court in Japan on Thursday said the country's ban on same-sex marriage was unconstitutional, ruling on a matter that has divided lower levels of the judiciary and put the conservative government at odds with shifting public opinion. Japan is the only member of the group of 7 industrialized nations that doesn't offer legal protection for same-sex unions. Rights groups say the omission is discriminatory and hurts its appeal as a global business center. It's kind of sad that the only way human rights is considered, well, respected is it'll make us money. I mean, granted, that's not wrong, but at the same time, it should be on principle and not, it'll make us money. But, you know, if this ends up becoming, if the ban gets overturned and same-sex marriage isn't just decriminalized but openly accepted, great. Although polls show 70% public support for same-sex unions, they are opposed by the Liberal Democratic Party of Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Japanese civil code rules that limit marriage to those of the opposite sex are unconstitutional and discriminatory, the High Court in the northern city of Sapporo said in its ruling, but dismissed the plaintiff's claims for damages from the government. Okay. Enacting same-sex marriage does not seem to cause disadvantage or harmful effects, the court said. Huh? I'm not familiar with the tax code in Japan, but at least in the U.S., there is tax advantages to being married as opposed to single. So, unless they don't have anything like that, or harmful effects. Again, in the U.S., family can do things like visit a loved one in the hospital, make medical decisions. So again, unless, Japan doesn't have such laws that any old yahoo can speak up for someone, then yeah, there are harmful effects. Because someone who the other person considers a spouse wouldn't be allowed to make those decisions. So, again, unless they don't have those restrictions, yeah, harmful effects. It was a long-awaited, delightful ruling which makes me cry, plaintiff Eri Nakaya told reporters after the verdict. The plaintiffs are considering appealing to the Supreme Court to clarify the unconstitutionality of existing law, lawyer Fumiyasu Tsunamori told a news briefing. Okay, so it was an appeals court, not the high court. So, the title is misleading because it's not the high court. I consider the high court to be the Supreme Court. Now, granted, it's great that a higher court said it's unconstitutional, but it wasn't the high court. The government will eye other upcoming court decisions. Its top spokesperson Yoshimasa Hayashi told a briefing. Masakazu Yana, oh no, Yanagisawa, a senior executive at Goldman Sachs in Tokyo, who sits on the board of rights group Marriage for All Japan, said the country risked being left behind in the hunt for global talent if it did not revise its civil code. Which makes sense. That's why a lot of people are leaving Florida. Because, who wants to live in a state, or in this case, a country, that you can't, be your authentic self. Like someone who happens to be married. Let's take Pete Buttigieg and Chasten. Now, granted, there's no reason for him to move to Japan at this moment. He's the Secretary of Transportation. There's no reason for him to leave the country. But let's say that he became ambassador of Japan. Well, why would he want to do that if his family, because he has 2 kids, well, they have 2 kids, how would that work under this ban? Why would he want to go to Japan and work there and live there if his marriage isn't seen as valid? It's bad enough that he has to fight for people to recognize his family in this country. There is a growing risk that Japan will be left behind by international trends and excluded from being an option as a place to work, said Yanagisawa. We are at a critical juncture to see if Japan will become a society that accepts diversity. The debate on the same-sex ban has split lower courts, with one district court holding the ban to be constitutional, but others saying it is unconstitutional in varying degrees. Earlier on Thursday, a Tokyo district court ruling described Japan's lack of same-sex marriage status as a state of unconstitutionality. U.S. Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel praised that ruling. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Glad to see the Tokyo court making one more step today towards marriage equality in all of Japan, he posted on social media platform X. I'll never get used to that. But I forgot Rahm Emanuel is an ambassador to Japan. Odd that I used that as an example, but with Pete Buttigieg. Oh wow, that is just so weird. Alright, so that is the end of that article. So it's good to see that things might be looking up for the LGBT plus community in Japan. But this is just one ruling, and we'll just have to wait to see what higher courts. I don't know, like I said, I'm not familiar with the legal system in Japan, so I don't know how many more steps there are between this court in Sapporo, this appeals court, and the high court. But it'll be interesting to watch. So, that's all the update I have for you. Oh, and I did see a headline, speaking of the LGBT plus community, that those who identify in the U.S. as LGBT plus, part of the LGBT plus community, has doubled. So, I think since 2014, I might be mistaken, I must be remembering, but this was a Pew poll. And for those who are freaking out about that, that just simply means that because people are more comfortable coming out. It's like me being a left-hander. There was a time, actually still maybe, I don't know, right before I was born or still shortly after I was born, where it was taboo to be a left-hander. And so once that taboo was lifted, that people no longer thought you were the child of the devil if you used your left hand. The numbers just zoomed up because people who were left-handed were able to be left-handed as opposed to be forced to write with their right hand. So it's the same thing here. Yes, it is doubled, but it's not because more people are part of the community. It's just that more people feel comfortable and more accepting of the fact that they are a part of the community, as opposed to once upon a time they would have felt shame and done just about anything they could to change themselves because they just couldn't accept that they were this, what they were taught, horrible person for being part of the community. So it's not that more people are becoming part of the community. It's more so that people are more accepted of being part of the community, so more people are willing to be their true selves. All right. With that, I believe I've covered everything that I wanted to with this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.